Thank you, Gina and Bit. And thank you, Prashant, for being here. Today, we will be talking about how to ensure data integrity and security in the age of artificial intelligence and how the industry approach it's making changes on data governance process. The idea with this interview, we understand that in today's world, the artificial intelligence is a very revolutionary all aspects of life and industries. However, with this power comes a great responsibility, which is to ensure data and data integrity and security. I would like to, before continuing, I would like to also thank the involvement of our Microsoft Enterprise Studio in connecting with Prashant. We launched this Microsoft Studio on last July with a renewed focus on expanding our partnership beyond geography. So it's a pleasure to have you, Prashant, here and to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Tino. I'm super excited to be here and appreciate Globant for hosting this event. A lot of insights already being shared here. Very excited to learn from the experts as well. So yeah, let's go. Go ahead, Tino.
Awesome. Thank you, Prashant. So firstly, for the benefits of our viewers to know a little bit better about you, can you tell us what got you into data? What was the first spark into these data technologies and ecosystems?
No, absolutely. Very happy to share a bit of my background and what brought me here, right, into the fascinating world of data. I worked as a technocrat for many years. I come from an engineering background, always had an inclination towards, analytics, analysis, and sort of that mindset from very beginning. Then, as life took me, I worked in various different domains, including healthcare, manufacturing, travel, hospitality, finance. And more, I worked in different industries. A couple of learnings that sort of stick to me, right? One is one needs to focus on the business value, right? The technology keeps changing, the stakeholders keep changing, the industries keeps changing. But one common thing that I think, one message I want to give, especially for a younger me, if I was, watching this video for the last 20 years back, is always focus on your business customer, right? See what you're doing and how that is making an impact to the business or your customer or whoever your client is, or your own company. And secondly, what served me very well is have a business or a data-driven approach, right, to problem solving. And that data is really the spark, right? So many customers I worked across and industries. For example, I can clearly think of one spark that you asked for a spark is, I was presenting for a multinational manufacturing company. We had a proposal, which was a multi-million-dollar deal. We had a lot of, marketing aspects covered in that, wires and whatever, right? All the usual stuff. But at the same time, there was one data point that we really drilled into, right? We talked to the technical stakeholders and said that, hey, look, you have this Kafka queue that is sitting there with 20,000 messages coming through every hour. And that is choking your business because of yada, 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 right? And that was an aha moment for the customer, right? We spent like 3 weeks preparing for the presentation with all the other marketing things. And then there was one analyst in the team that spent like maybe 2 hours to do this analysis and provide these insights. And that sort of opened the doors, right, for the customer. Now, I'm telling you, the power of data and analytics can go far reaching, right? Again, especially people who are starting off their career. Right? You are in a great time of this whole world, how the data is exploding, how the analytics world, how the AI world, all these are converging, and this is really unprecedented times, right? So the winning point again is be always data centric, always look for business value, create arguments with your data, and the rest will all fall in place, right? Anyway, I just wanted to share also some of the stats, right? Talking about data. I was looking up the other day. The total addressable market for data analytics today is an astounding $300 billion, right? $300 billion is a lot of, zeros, okay? And you put AI to it, right? Now we're talking about a growth prospects of, over 50% year on year for the next 5 years at least. And I won't be surprised if we are talking about trillions of dollars in a few years from now. Okay, so again, this is a super great industry to be in, a great place to start off, and this is changing at a breakneck speed. So super excited to be here, and happy to share more insights. I'd love to hear from you as well, Tino. What was your spark, and how did you come over here as well?
Oh, well, my first spark on data, it was a long time ago when we were having this explosion on technologies about data on the Hadoop ecosystem. So we started to look into these technologies initially with a very manual configuration that it was kind of complicated at that point. But it was very useful to start looking into this data ecosystem, data work, and start looking into all the different challenges that we have within data. You just mentioned something regarding business changes, business transformations, and the value that $300 billion that this industry and this need to have data analytics is bringing. So I want to move our conversation into that specific field. So we have this amount of money going around data, and it has a lot of challenges that cross between to have data security, to have the integrity of data, to have the data quality in place. So let me ask you this. So in your opinion, what are the challenges that organizations these days are facing in maintaining this data integrity and security in the context of what you just mentioned, the AI application, the AI revolution that you just mentioned as well?
No, absolutely. I think the challenges are, very widespread, again, across industries. And this is very typical for any, groundbreaking, game-changing technologies that we have seen, right? You think of thereof cloud, right? Cloud migration, companies question, hey, is this secure, right? How do I trust these companies to host my data, what is the privacy aspects, right? And so on and so forth. And then there's technology challenges of implementing large transformations. I mean, you pick any technology, there's always, umpteen number of challenges. For today's organizations, right, if you look at it at a micro level, the challenges are widespread. The IT leaders, for example, making decisions for organizations, have to manage their IT operations, right, and innovate at a much faster pace, at a much lower cost, right? The budgets are shrinking, the future is uncertain, right? Gone are the days of, hey, we have a 5-year plan and a 3-year plan, right? All of them are out of the window, right? Let us see how many companies will even survive the next 10 years, right? There's no brand equity or brand value or the legacy on which they can ride on, right? And now change is in the air. They have to sort of evolve with the change, okay? Technology is evolving at a breakneck speed. If you look at, let us say, a job description from any company and just say, hey, what is the data professional or architect required? Hey, they need, skills in big data. They need skills in SQL. They need skills in, BI visualization. They need, AI capabilities. I mean, the list keeps going on, right? The reason is it's not that one person is expected to do all this. The companies don't know what they need, right? That is the reality, right? So with the budget that they have, they got to hire talent that can do, across the board, go left to right, and deliver on the results. Because ultimately, I'll keep on going back to what I said, right? Having the business value is what they want, right? So that is another big challenge of lack of, skills in the market, only because the expectations are unreal, right? And then now you top this whole security focus, right? Talking about data and security. Look at the number of cyber attacks that are happening, every month, okay? And the graph is only growing up, right? An exponential pace. And not only how many cyber attacks are happening, and what is the sophistication in which they're happening, right? Now, the same AI skills that we're talking about of, innovating, progressing the world, the same AI skills are available to the hackers as well. The same AI skills are available to the cybersecurity, the threat actors as well, right? Now, so the game has changed, right? Game has changed, the challenges have changed, and increasingly companies are under a lot of stress to unlock this potential and innovation while still managing the challenges of data security, data protection, privacy, right? All the compliance and regulation and so on and so forth, right? So for especially around, as we are talking about AI applications, building AI applications, this whole data privacy and ethical concerns, like the previous speaker was talking about, is a huge aspect, right? Now AI is crawling, petabytes of data, zettabytes of data, right? Large data sets. Sensitive personal information is part of it, and now you apply regulations like GDPR or CCPA. I mean, these regulations are complicated by itself, right? Now you ask AI, and now the AI is spitting out so much of information. Now, how do you apply all this, ethical and data privacy concerns and regulations on top of that? That's a huge concept, right, to tackle. The other one, and this is becoming increasingly more common these days, is the outcomes that the AI is being trained on, right? There is an inherent bias, right, in the training concept of AI, right? And there are some groups that may be marginalized, right, unintentionally, because AI is not trained on that type of data, right? So we got to make sure that the fairness is covered across the board from by design, right? Quality and consistency is the other aspect of things, right? In continuous validation is required, and how much, again, coming back to how much funding do you have to maintain that quality of your original AI MVP or implementation that you built on, okay? And the list keeps going on, right? So in terms of security and AI models is a huge aspect, right? And the biggest one that sort of is there for companies to tackle is the whole performance aspect and the scalability. Okay, yeah, AI is great when you start developing solutions, right? Now we're talking about having hundreds of use cases in a customer to be developed, right? Now we are talking about so many more GPUs to be used, right? That much more dollars, and then that much more performance. So because again, AI is all about intense data, right? Transformation and ability to crunch so much data to get you the essence in a much faster speed, right? So all these are different aspects of AI there are new issues, right, or exponential issues that customers are facing today, and we all are in the same boat, right? I mean, we will have to tackle this, but it is super exciting on the potential, right? AI brings to the table, and with all the data that is being created, at a very rapid pace, applying those security principles, maintaining the data quality, and providing the results and the expectation that AI promises have for future is the age that we are living in, right?
Right, correct. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of different important things here in regards of security, in regards of quality, and with the amount of data that we currently have in this world, like it's very hard and very complicated to have control for everything, and it's a challenge for organizations to be on top of making sure that there are no security breaches and that data is being used in the right way. And so it's very important that organizations can lead the efforts into technology, into process and culture, and make sure that we can have a good understanding of how to use that data. And I just want to ask you about this in terms of the ever-increasing volume and complexity of the data, because it's not only now databases or plain data, we have videos, we have images, we have a lot of different sources and type of information here. how's the industry approaching data governance in the sense of integrity and the security and quality that you were mentioning before?
No, great question, Tino. And industry is evolving as we speak. Okay, when you say industry, even the tech companies don't have all the answers, right? But again, looking at least, let's say 2 to 3 years from now, right? It is very clear that data is the fuel of AI, right? I mean, as somebody said previously, garbage in, garbage out, right? So making sure data quality is in the prime and center, and the foundational aspects of AI is super, super important, right? At least at Microsoft, the way that we look at it is we call it a Microsoft Intelligence Data Platform, right? As you were suggesting, we're really bringing the span of operational databases, right? Bringing in all the real-time analytics and real-time intelligence into one place. Bringing in the governance and AI aspects into one place, so that when we talk about a platform, we're not talking about a piecemeal approach that, hey, we solve this problem that a customer is having or a company is facing today. But really, you're looking at the whole spectrum of problems that could come in the future and prepare them by creating a platform more than a solution, a point solution for the companies, right? So industry is looking to solve this in different dimensions, right? So the one big thing is the tool simplification, right? So making sure the platform plays there, and there are simplistic tools and easy to understand and easy to get on board to the tools is super important. Second thing, and this is sort of a huge elephant in the room, is securing the data at the source, okay, versus securing the data when you need it, right? So when you secure the data at the source, right, and you have those compliance guardrails that are addressed to the data at the source, now wherever the data travels, the security footprint travels along with the data, right? Again, this is easier said than done, right? But we are going after solving this big problem where the authentication, authorization, role-based access, right? The sensitivity aspects of who can see what, right? And if all that again it can be done in a central place, then that is a big, big achievement from the security aspects of data. And the third aspect also is bringing automation or Gen AI capabilities onto the data that you already have, right? We're all already exposed to multimodal interactions with data, with OpenAI and other LLM models. More and more, the same thing can be applied to data in your data cleansing, developing those data quality rules, right, and governance of the data, right? And the approach for data governance is also shifting, right? As I see it. Traditionally it was like a centralized model, right? I mean, if you dial back 5 years or 10 years, right? Companies said, we need a centralized data governance team, right? That's going to, now everything and anything has to go through that team, okay? To make sure that data is compliant, data is secure, right? So it sounded great on paper, but when you start implementing it, it became a very slow process, right? While you're getting those standards that the company wants to aspire to get and get the security aspects, but at the expense of agility, right? Now, the remote teams are going through this governance process, and just to get the rubber stamp from the team and get their architecture approved is taking months, right? That has changed, right? Now, the companies said, okay, we'll have a decentralized model then, right? Yeah, we'll drive agility, which is awesome, but then the standards are getting compromised, right? Because every team had started following different standards, right? So we're almost coming to a point where I think it is like a hybrid approach that's working, right? For many progressive companies, like a federated data governance where you have the responsibility at the core, all right? So for example, companies said, hey, these shared file locations can only be accessible to the employees of the company, right? That's like a policy that the company has, right? That is at the centralized data governance team, right? And then they're driving agility at the edge, right? So that individual teams can make their own decisions in terms of, what is right in terms of what, policies and what security models that they implement, as long as they're adhering to the centralized, guidance the company has. And the last thing also is about monitoring, right? I mean, whatever the data usage is and how to monitor the policies that are being implemented, having those data stewards and data consumers, work in cohorts. Right? They should not be working, opposite to each other. Ultimately, the data stewards are there to help the data consumers so that they can responsibly get the data that they're looking for. So, I mean, those are some of my thoughts. Again, from security aspect, what we believe, at least at Microsoft, is a zero trust, security model. And security by far is the number one priority that we are seeing company after company, CEOs, agenda showing up, right? So being responsible and driving accountability is something that every employee in the company has to own, right? It is not a back office job for a few security people to figure out, where the data is moving and how to manage that. If you see something, right, you have to make sure that you report it, right? And you have to be able to have the culture in the company that allows you to do that, right? So it comes down to, having that company culture of and keeping the security on top of the agenda for every employee, and making sure that you're almost working in that security model where you're not only protecting the servers and networks and applications, but you're able to also democratize the data, make it a self-service data culture, but at the same time doing it responsibly and driving that accountability. So this is a huge challenge, right? It's easier said than done. But companies that are progressive, that you're seeing are beating their numbers, right, in Wall Street, and the worst people, that the companies that are running this successfully are showing the results, right, that we are seeing. So those are a few thoughts that I have. Hopefully that made sense, and I'd love to see if there's any other ideas you have as well.
Yeah, for sure. They're very interesting and important aspect that you mark there. Like those three aspects in terms of not only the implementation of data platforms, the security part, and the automation of the processes, but also in terms of understanding and making sure that we know that this is a very hard process and very challenging in terms of technology that we, in terms of IT, need to implement somehow and make sure that technologies bring all this together to ensure that we have all these controls in terms of data, in terms of who can access the data, the teams that are able to show the data. But I have a question regarding all of this. So you mentioned and one person outside the technical scope can think this could be a very high and very difficult effort to get into and make sure that data is okay. But how we can ensure a balance between innovation with all these AI technologies and all these possibilities to generate content, with ensuring all these critical data integrity and security? Do you think this is a roadblocker to get into innovation with AI?
That's awesome question, right, Tino? So innovation is extremely, extremely important for every company, right? And then, the way I look at it is security is extremely, extremely important, right? Now, it's almost like, the yin and yang, twin engine duality, right? That companies have to manage, right? Now, the good news is, right, you don't really have to have this whole data governance as like a necessity evil to manage. But in fact, I would argue that, progressive companies are making this whole data governance and security as a strength, right? They are creating, force accelerators, right? And converting that into their competitive advantage, right? Because think about it, right? I mean, we started with this whole era of, hey, we need to make sure we protect our data. We need to make sure we govern the data. We need to make sure we have all this yada, 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 right? But the reality is, if you are able to implement that effectively, then as the business models are changing, right? Now, new partnerships are coming, right? For example, Uber of the world has completely disrupted how we do transportation, and they're moving into food delivery. They're moving into some other businesses. Same thing with Amazon. So companies, are able to move from one business model to the other, right? Are able to evolve, are able to, transform themselves only because they're able to use their data effectively in new ways that you have not imagined before, right? And to be able to do that in a very secure manner, we're able to do that in a more governed aspects. Guess what? You need to have those guardrails set in stone, right? And set in a way that they're still nimble, but at the same time, you have those guardrails to set so that you can use that for your advantage, right? For a competitive advantage. So data governance should become a core priority along with security, right? In a CXO's agenda for a company, right, to be successful and to be able to democratize the data that they're looking to do, right? So those are my thoughts. And ultimately, look, we have seen the industry move from 5-year strategies to 3-year strategies. And now we are coming to a stage where even a 1-year strategy is a very long time, right? Because things have to be nimble and agile to be able to move from one direction to the other, along with the disruptive technologies around us. So ultimately, it comes down to, I think, having, of course, strong leadership is extremely important. Having a strong security posture is important for every company. Data as a competitive advantage. And above all, I think the company culture, right? Having the growth mindset, having the companies to be people to be able to learn from others and able to drive that forward. All these are, I think, sort of work together. So all in all, I don't see really, data governance or security aspects to be an inhibitor, right? It's more as a competitive advantage and an accelerator to drive innovation, and that is how we got to frame it to be successful, in my view.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Prashant. And I would like to continue this very large topic and continue conversation with you, but I would like to have this final question to you in terms of the future outlook. How do you see the opportunities and challenges in the world of data, and most of all in the data governance side that we have been talking about on this space? What is your look and your opinion on that side, and how, with having AI evolving day by day, what's the future that you see in terms of opportunities, technologies, in the sense of that specific field of data governance or data in general, as we may speak?
No, absolutely. I think what we are seeing, is again across the industries, right? AI is applicable in more ways than we originally imagined, right? Be it in healthcare and all the advancements in healthcare that we are seeing in the news, financial services, right? Automation, transportation, and so on and so forth, right? Sustainability aspects, education is a huge aspect, right? I mean, guess what? All of them require, data quality to be in place, right? The way we are looking at it is these are not different technologies, both AI, data analytics, all these are together, right? And focusing on data quality and data governance aspect is paramount importance, to make sure that this whole, AI, it doesn't kind of completely get stuck after a few years, but is able to open new windows, right? Open new doors for the world to utilize and take us to the next level. So overall, I wanted to share that, in my 2 cents, this whole, data governance aspect shouldn't become a back office thing. It should become this central core conversation point in a C-suite conversation in the board of directors, and use that as your competitive advantage. And again, for viewers who are starting out in this data and AI, fascinating data and AI field, I would say that continuously learn, right, and change with the technology, pick up new skills, right, and start using those skills. And it's going to be a journey, right? We are in a very early stages of AI, right? All said and done, while there's a lot of research done for many decades before, the implementation of AI has just started. Maybe it's 1 year old now, right? And we have a long journey to go together. That means so many new opportunities will open up. Having that, flexible mindset and learning mindset will take us together a long way forward. Okay, so I'm super excited, and I want to thank you for this opportunity, Tino and the Globant team. And back to you.
Thank you very much, Prashant. And yeah, it's very important. I hope that our audience have enjoyed this conversation, and for our audience also to enforce this message that you're giving, like in sense of keep studying, get the skills into this data and AI ecosystem, because it's very interesting, very challenging. And thank you one more time, Prashant, for being here. I hope we can keep discussing on other spaces, and well, we'll keep on the conference. Thank you very much, and we'll get back to Gina and Pete. Thank you.